Guys, this has to be a 50-minute episode.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with Rick the Wrestling Dad and his boys. It's time to throw them in a butcher, change it over to a barbed wire, and wrap them up in your bundles.
Pretty sure all three of those moves are the exact same.
Are they, though? I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, my contrarians, Mr. Jeff, The Body Rutledge, and Drew, SGD Etherton. We are coming to you from a new, undisclosed location.
My apartment.
Okay, well, now it's disclosed.
It's disclosed.
Wow.
Thank you
If
for
you want
that.
the address, just DM me.
So we apologize based upon that fact for no introductory video. It was left behind at our old location on some hardware. We need to upload it to the interweb so that way it is cloud-based. It'll be worked out by next episode. We realize we have taken a little bit of a brief hiatus from y'all, but never fear, we are here. That rhymed.
We're back.
And we are here to stay. So
Season 2.
Season 2 begins now.
We did
Mr. Body, why don't you go ahead and give us a very quick overview of what we're going to be discussing this evening?
Real quick before I do that, as you doing the introductions, it made me think of Willie Saylor. Just news,
Wow.
big news in the wrestling community today. He tweeted out that he quit his job at Flow Wrestling as of yesterday. Said it was time to move on.
I still think it might be a publicity stunt.
Yeah, I don't want to fall.
I
I
think
don't
it
want
might
to be
be.
like the guys that fall for it if
Yep.
it is.
If it is a publicity stunt, I had a hard time talking there. That would be a terrible joke because
That
everyone's like, "Hey, man, wish you the best of luck," you know. And then you just one of those where you
That's
Well, we
feel
used to
real
do
bad.
We call it-
we used to do the fake birthdays on Facebook.
yeah.
Oh,
and-
yeah, classic
I
fake
got
birthday.
I got
All
my
the time.
my recently broken up ex-girlfriend to be like, "Really? Hey, happy birthday,
Yeah.
Drew." I was like,
Dude.
"Oh, dang."
Nothing better than
Now
a
I feel
Facebook
bad.
fake birthday.
We tried to do it and then we did
All the
it.
heartfelt messages, it
We-
just exposes.
It's so
Here's what I
good.
love about it. It
It's-
exposes
No one cares. Or
the
knows.
falsity of our digital culture that we live
You're
in.
a terrible person.
No,
It- no.
which is why I don't ever do it, and that I don't like doing it. I
What
won't do it
your
on Facebook. I
expectation
will text
is,
them.
what your expectation is that everybody should know what your
No,
birthday
I think
or
no one
or
should.
not
No
wish
one
me a
should.
happy birthday. I'm
What?
fine with that.
Thank
What
you.
are you
Thank
talking
you.
about? You
Now
both
it's
are bad
making
people.
sense. Now
I
the
am
man's
so
making
mad at
sense.
this conversation. It's
I am
not even
fine.
funny.
I am way more than okay. If you don't know my birthday, first of all, I
Then
don't
don't
care.
wish me
Yes.
happy birthday
Yeah.
because we're not real friends.
No,
No.
That's
I
ridiculous.
don't care. First of all,
What?
I don't care if you don't know my birthday.
Yeah.
And secondly, if you don't know it, then who gives a rip? Don't wish me a happy birthday.
I think the idea of wishing someone a happy birthday is like, "Hey, I'm thinking of you because I remembered it was your birthday." Where it's just like, if Facebook's like, "Hey, it's this person's birthday," like, "Oh, happy birthday."
No, I think it is the coolest thing on your birthday when Facebook says, "Hey, it's Jeff Rutledge's birthday," and then people give me messages of people that I would never have contact with again.
Yep.
But it's a perfect opportunity
Mhm.
for them to say, "Hey, Jeff, I'm thinking about you today on your birthday." I don't care that they don't know my birthday by heart. I think it's incredible that people that I knew 20 years ago would reach out and say, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about you. I'm happy for you on your birthday."
I was thinking he was about, "You happy you survived another year?"
I'm happy that you're here. Yeah, I'm happy
That's
that
it. Oh, you haven't died
I'm happy
yet.
that our lives crossed. All right, I
Oh
think
my
that's
gosh.
incredible.
I think he's about to get emotional.
I'm
gonna
so
tell you why
mad
you're
he might
wrong
have to
right
now.
that you two are so
It's so
like
dumb.
high class
cares?
elitist.
Because then you should do it. Then a month later, and the same people will do the same thing.
Unbelievable. We just got completely
When was
off
the
track.
last time
But this
that
is
I
we
wished
had our
you
headgear
happy
shame
birthday?
here. Yeah, please don't.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been with you guys on my birthday almost every single year.
It's a grown man giving another grown man a
because it was
present.
during the time of year that was outdoor challenge camp, and I
What's
would never
wrong with
tell
that?
anyone.
Hey,
No.
you guys are like, "Hey, I'm men. I don't need people to say I love you."
No,
all right,
I
I
don't.
You
care.
can say I love you.
No.
You don't need to wish
First
me
off,
happy
you guys actually-
birthday.
That's a way that people
By the
say
way,
I love you.
Neither one of you have ever told me that.
I love you, Drew.
well,
Thank you, Jeff. That actually kind of.
I still haven't decided.
You know what?
It does actually kind of feel
And when
good.
we
I
were
might be
hanging out
changing
with,
my tune.
on my birthday just a couple weeks ago,
I know, and I did post a
and you
picture of
posted a picture, and
Because-
it was a pity post. I appreciated it. I
Yeah.
said,
You
"Hey,
appreciated his
yeah,
pity
I
post.
did."
Yeah,
It
all
meant that even though it was hard for him to post it, he posted it, and it was meaningful.
Oh,
And
I haven't even
appreciate
got
that.
this out
Oh
onto
my
the public
goodness
yet.
gracious.
So anyway,
Unreal.
If we had headgear of shame, I think I'd give it to Jeff. But
that's
he
fine.
does
I would
deserve it.
gladly take
He
that. I think
deserves
the
it.
majority of people out there would agree with me that Facebook reminders about birthdays are a good thing, and it's something that uplifts the human spirit. And you guys are a bunch of just like Scrooges to
well,
not
how
believe
about
so.
we get
and
the,
to
the
put fake
Oh my.
birthdays.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
What
This-
is-
it makes me not want to be here, and I dislike both of you now.
He can. We are not chaining him to this desk. He can up and leave at any moment.
Speaking of
here.
not being here, brings up our sponsor of the evening, the entire city of fabulous Las Vegas.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
They contacted us.
Lady Luck.
The mayor did, and was like, "I like what you guys are doing." And so this podcast is sponsored by my favorite city in the world, Viva Las Vegas, which actually in Spanish means the Meadows. The Meadows.
All right. So Willie Saylor's out at Flow. I think he's gone.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
So who do you think will take his place? Let's say if he's gone.
Oh my goodness! Like
I
just
say
on
bring
it-
back Joe Flo.
Oh,
Joe
dude,
Flo and
Joe
Vader were the
Flo.
best combo.
Joe Flo's got his own Grow Wrestling thing going on though now.
I know, but
So
come on.
he's probably booked up. Who would be a great? What about Jake Herbert?
He'd
He'd be
good.
all right.
He'd be good.
He'd be all right in that spot. Gosh, what other wrestling personalities? What are our big wrestling
Ever heard
personalities
of
out
Rick
there?
the Wrestling Dad?
Oh,
I just put him in there.
bring
Throw-
it
hey.
on, Rick.
You should throw that coaching hat in the ring.
Oh,
I wouldn't want that.
Like he
Then-
threw
then
that chair in when Timmy lost to Mendez.
Oh.
Wait,
Mendoza.
Mendoza.
It's been too long. We've forgotten
too long.
people's
Well, he also lost to
names.
Mendez.
No,
Well.
that'd make me sad because then I'd have to coach Lincoln East Wrestling.
who hasn't Timmy lost
And
to?
he'd be gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lincoln East Wrestling, we got some shout outs to go out to a couple of
We should
athletes.
clarify what that is. I
What?
don't think do people know?
What?
What?
What Lincoln East Wrestling is?
Yeah. I mean, people who listen to this
It's
probably
freaking
do, but
sick rear end organization.
We
when this
happen to be
podcast doesn't
the
age
coaches.
well when this is insanely famous and has millions of views.
Good point. We happen to be the coaches of Lincoln East High School here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we had some wrestlers compete over the preseason competitions. Our season actually starts in about 2 weeks from tomorrow, so we're pretty excited about starting up the season. But 2 national champions.
Let's go.
You want to talk about them?
Talk about him a little bit.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So at Fall Brawl, a tournament in Kansas City, we had Grant Lyman come away with the championship. Pretty awesome to see. He was a third place finisher for us last year and kind of won the big one. Beat a returning state finalist from Missouri and a couple other state medalists along the way. So that was pretty cool to see. We gotta talk about the masks that the Fall Brawl.
Now, do you call?
gives.
Do you? I mean, let's not talk about that. But maybe quick. Do we? What makes something a national tournament?
I don't know. That's a good question.
That could be another podcast.
We kind
And
of.
I do think
kinda
probably
discussed
people are
that.
thinking that where it's like.
Yeah. I don't know.
national championship. I mean, it's a very tough tournament.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean
say
the
that.
same thing with preseason nationals too. It's
But
like
that's one of the 3
why? What do you mean?
preseason. Isn't that the Triple Crown?
Super 32 preseason. No, Fall
What's the
Brawl.
Well, that's the
Crown?
thing is
No.
Super
Su-
32 would be the tougher
preseason
tournament.
is.
Super
Well-
32 is a is a more difficult tournament than preseason
But
nationals.
isn't preseason nationals?
I don't know.
It part of the Triple Crown to
kinda
win the
wonder-
Triple Crown.
everybody's
preseason
hyping-
nationals.
I don't know.
Everybody's hyping Super 32 up big time. I think it varies a lot by weight class as to which tournament is tougher because I think there
Between
was
that preseason nationals and Super
and Super
32.
32, yeah.
No,
Well-
Super 32 is way tougher. Go
Well,
look at the national
at
rankings.
least okay, yes, that might be true, but a lot of people are trying to say Super 32 is tougher than Fargo. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Yeah, I think that would be debatable. You could debate that.
Yeah.
We got a brand new subscriber on the channel. It is our very own Jeff Rutledge. It took him 15 episodes in to subscribe to our
Yep.
very own
Nice
Rick Dad
job.
YouTube channel.
I'm watching right now. It looks like from the icon from YouTube, it looks like Keenan's like really small.
yeah,
because
I
we're
know.
close
It's
to
because
the
of
camera.
it's the angle.
It's really funny.
Yeah, you look tiny.
I have
He looks like a
shrunk ever
peanut.
since.
Yeah,
Looks like
I
he's
was,
got
I
a
was
peanut
gonna bring
way
that
back
up. I was gonna bring that up. That is a fisheye issue.
That's all right.
I
kind
look
of enjoy it.
massive. I look like I'm
Yep.
6'8".
You all, maybe
like
you
the more
are.
let me scoot a little. I look a lot bigger.
Oh, you're huge. So, speaking of preseason nationals, so then we had our 106 pounder Keith Smith won the bracket at preseason nationals at 106. He was actually our junior varsity wrestler. He was a backup to a state medalist for us named Brandon Boustert. Both of them had really close wrestle-offs, and Brandon won that spot. But just to see him dedicate himself and commit himself in the offseason, and I remember him, being frustrated that he wasn't the varsity guy. He definitely could have been a state medalist for us last year, but has really dedicated himself in the offseason. And just super cool to see him come back and become a national champion before his sophomore season starts, and for him to begin wrestling his varsity career. That gives us a lot of hope here.
I think there was something like 80 kids in the bracket, something like that.
Yep, a couple nationally ranked kids that he
Yeah.
didn't end up wrestling, but kids that got beat out earlier in the bracket. So he had a come from behind win in one of his matches where he's down by 3. He had to throw the kid to his back in the last 20 seconds or so. So really awesome performance. We just wanted to give a shout out there.
Wrestled lights out.
Grant Lyman won a mask from Fall Brawl. That has to be one of the coolest trophies or awards that
A
you can be
hockey
given.
mask.
Yeah,
A
isn't
hockey
it
mask.
like a
Jason.
Jason mask?
What's Jason's last name? Anybody know?
I think it's just Jason.
It's just Jason. Jason from
I
Halloween.
think it's actually
Jason
Livingston, which he's tried to hide. Yeah, Jason Livingston.
Jason
Yeah.
Livingston from the Halloween movie
Yep,
series.
from Halloween. I think the last name is
Is-
Livingston, which is maybe why
I'm looking
he,
this up.
being the tough guy, he really he didn't like that last name. It's very upper. I don't know. It seems very posh.
Okay, so it's actually, here's the funny thing is we got the movie wrong and we got the name wrong. So Jason is not from the movie series Halloween. That would be Michael Myers.
The
Also
really,
known
Michael
as
Myers, also known as Austin Powers.
also known as Austin Powers.
Guys, we have 38
Interesting.
minutes to talk
Okay.
wrestling right
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, just wanted to clarify that we butchered that. Go ahead.
now. All right. So,
Coolest trophy.
coolest trophy, coolest award that you can think of. I think the belt, Super 32 belt, is pretty cool too. But mask has got to be one of the best. Can you think of a different award that would be? Can you think of an award that would be comparable to a mask?
a,
That's
sa-
Fall
a
Brawl.
sash,
A
I won a
sash.
sword
like
once.
a pageant.
That was cool.
Nice. Oh, that's true.
A sword would be cool.
Swords are
Samurai
cool.
sword.
Yeah, because you won one from MAGA, right?
Or what's it called?
Naga.
Yep.
MAGA is
Naga.
Donald Trump's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was your
Naga,
Yeah,
Naga.
way off
A
on
little
that.
off.
Wow.
He didn't
No.
win that. He hasn't won that
No.
yet, but he won NAGA.
I am trying though.
He's trying to win
trying.
the MAGA
Yeah,
award,
I
I
don't
guess.
know.
We better stop
No,
there.
so North American Grappling Association, NAGA. Yeah, won a sword. That was a pretty cool award. It was
Rick was a
actually, it
NAGA
was like
champ.
sharp. Like Terrell and I carved up a watermelon with it.
And actually, I
Pretty
used
sharp.
it to cut my wedding cake.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
that?
right. That's right.
It's pretty sweet.
I
yeah,
did make that part of your wedding.
You did.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
That's
Yeah.
kind.
That's why I love you.
Yeah.
You're able to make
Okay.
the ceremony, the
All right, hey, let's talk
celebration.
wrestling again.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, don't get all sentimental on me.
Sorry. Okay, let's get into it. Probably the biggest wrestling news of the, dare I say, year
Mm-hmm.
would be Kyle Snyder leaving the Ohio Regional Training Center to train at the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club.
Dang it.
This could be this is a huge reason for a number of reasons. One, Kyle Snyder is one of the best wrestlers in the United States. You know, moving clubs, that's one, but also moving clubs that are really the major rivals to Ohio State. So this was pretty jaw-dropping news, I would guess you could say, to the wrestling community. What are your guys' thoughts on Kyle Snyder leaving?
I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Okay, here's the deal. I'm biased. I am, and it's always important for us to admit our biases up front. Is that a word, biases?
Mhm.
Yep.
I'm friends with Kyle Snyder's old coach, Terrell DeLognev, good friends with him. And so, obviously it's a little bit more of a up close and personal situation for us. But that being said, I just, I don't know if I agree with Kyle Snyder's reasoning, or at least his publicly stated reasoning for leaving. And basically if I could summarize it, it seemed to me like he was trying to say, hey, I haven't tried everything possible to make myself the best possible wrestler that I can, and I don't want to leave this box unchecked, so to speak. It's kind of like maybe my reading of it, my interpretation of it is sort of like I should probably at least I owe it to myself to try out Penn State just in case. That's to me that's the way it felt like that's the way it felt like he was trying to communicate to the public. Because he said a lot of things about like my time at Ohio State's been amazing, super thankful for my coaches, super thankful for everything that Ohio State's done for me. However, I want to make sure that I'm trying everything. And it's like, well, okay, I guess I kind of sort of see the logic a little bit there. However, my big issue with it is you don't apply that same logic to all of your training. It's like, oh, well then you might as well just try a different strength coach somewhere else too. You might as well try a different diet. You might as well try. It's like, no, you're not just going to throw all the mud at the wall and see what sticks. You're going to make calculated decisions based upon what you think is best for you and that you need to improve on. So if that's what he's doing, okay, but that's fine, but just say that. Tell us that. Say that to the public. Like have the nerve to say to the public, like, I don't think that I am being trained effectively at Ohio State, so I'm going to go somewhere else. And I get it. He didn't want to hurt the Ohio State program's feelings, probably, as a big part of what was going on there. And maybe there's some admiration for him in that. At the same point in time, it's like, you know, I don't want to be patronized as an Ohio State fan, and I don't think the Ohio State, you know, community wants to be patronized either. So the thing that I think is unfortunate is I think that's really what's going on. And then then the argument shifts to, well, is that really true? Is it really true that you're not being made the best wrestler that you can possibly be at Ohio State because you won 3 world championships while you were there? And you beat, you know, Sajalayev. So if let's say you got worse, which maybe that's what's kind of going through Kyle Snyder's head, like, well, I beat Sajalayev before and now I'm not beating him, or I haven't won before like I was winning. It's like, okay, well, the part of the equation is probably not the Ohio State coaching staff and the Ohio State wrestling room and the Ohio RTC, because all that has stayed the same. I mean, there's probably some other if you really honestly believe that you've gotten worse, you're probably looking at the wrong variable. That's just my opinion.
True. Thoughts?
My question on this is I think everything we got to wait to see what happens, because I mean, I'm not close to the situation, but how would you feel? I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. How would you feel if he comes back, let's say he goes and he wins a world title or an Olympic title, or doesn't win, maybe gets silver. Let's just say that. And then he's like, you know what? Like, this change wasn't right for me. I thought it was. Let's say he wins and he still comes back and he's like, the change wasn't right for me. I thought it was. You know, I got to see some new looks, but I want to come back to Ohio State. How would you feel in that situation, I guess? Do you think that would be like a more genuine of a thing that he did? Now, maybe it's...
I would say, wow, well, it's unfortunate that you had to, you know, hurt Ohio State in your process of figuring that out.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people don't acknowledge. I think the grand majority of wrestling fans are very much behind Kyle Snyder and his decision to go to Penn State because...
Well, most of them are just Kyle Snyder fans. They're not...
Yeah, on the outside, it looks
fans,
like this guy is just adamant at becoming the best, and he will do anything to become the very best. And I think it's important to acknowledge, and the fact that Keenan and I are close to this situation is that it does involve hurt. And, you know, whereas Kyle Snyder may get better at wrestling if he goes to Penn State. Hey, Penn State has got the best college wrestling program. I will be willing to admit that. They do a fantastic job at developing their wrestlers. I think Ohio State does an incredible job as well. But I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that Kyle Snyder is hurting the program that gave him so much is hurting the coaches that gave him so much. And there's a little bit that you need to weigh into that. Is it fair to the people who have poured into the life of Kyle Snyder to, for him to just say, hey, I might be able to get better. See you later. And I think the Ohio State coaches have done a fantastic job at being grateful for Kyle Snyder and what he's given to them and wished him the best moving forward. But to say that it doesn't hurt them is unfair. And for Kyle Snyder, in 2 years, whatever he does beyond this, I think that Ohio State coaches genuinely love Kyle Snyder and want him to continue to get better and to have all the success in the world. But if he were to come back and say, hey, the change wasn't right for me, I want to come back, I think it's important to acknowledge that that's not easy. That there's been some break of the relationship because of the decision to move to a different club. And not only just to a different club, but to their arch rivals.
And that's what makes it so frustrating, and this is kind of what you're saying, but it's like that's what makes it so frustrating with Kyle Snyder's logic of like, hey, I just need to try this opportunity so I make sure this box doesn't go unchecked. It's like, well, if that's your logic, don't you also realize that in doing so you're really hurting Ohio State? And so it's like, so you're willing to just throw mud on the wall and see what sticks and
Right.
leave Ohio State in the wake of the,
Yeah.
the carnage. It's just, that's where it's really unfortunate.
How much better can you truly get? And the problem
Well-
is that I feel that people are freaking out. And I think Kyle Snyder and probably his parents and other people that are close to him are freaking out because it's like all this guy has done is won, right? And he beat Sajalayev. But guys, let's look at the facts. If you go back to that bracket and you look at Kyle Snyder's results versus the same guys that Sajalayev beat. Sajalayev is beating these guys that Kyle Snyder is barely beating. Sajalayev is whooping these guys, right? And the fact that Kyle Snyder beat Sajalayev first, I think it's important to note that that was probably an upset, right? That Kyle Snyder beating Sajalayev the first time was probably more of an outlier than Sajalayev beating Kyle Snyder ever since.
Well, and even if it wasn't, my point still stands. It's like you did it under the Ohio State training system, under the Ohio RTC
I know,
training system.
but my point is that you shouldn't freak out the moment if Kyle Snyder is being honest with his interviews and him saying, I don't care about wins and losses, all I care about is improvement, and then all of a sudden you lose and you think that you need to change something.
Yeah.
That's that is very counter to everything that you've been telling us.
Oh yeah, I
and what
agree, yeah.
your psyche is believing.
Well, I definitely agree with that. And to really quickly, to just kind of slightly dispute what you said earlier, which this isn't really directly disputing it, but you made the comment that, Penn State's got the best college wrestling team in the country, and that's all fine and well and good, and they're the kind of the famous name around, the average wrestling fan. But as far as regional training centers are concerned, now I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but Ohio Regional Training Center has probably got the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club beat as far as world medals is concerned between Logan Stieber-Travell and Kyle Snyder, or at least, for sure world championships.
For the U.S. maybe.
David Taylor is Nittany Lion Wrestling Club's only world champ, right? No, Varner, I guess. So they got two. So they're both at two. So David Taylor, Varner.
It's okay to recognize the fact
they
that
also have other guys.
they have a room with better wrestlers.
Abdurakhmanov's in the room.
I don't know that I would.
There's
That's what
foreign
I'm
guys in
saying.
the
I
room.
don't know that I necessarily would agree with that, or at least agree. I wouldn't necessarily agree with the fact that maybe you can make the argument that they have better guys in the room right now. I don't know that they have historically produced better
That's fine.
results.
That's fine,
maybe,
but I don't
That's
think
gonna be a hard argument. I mean,
yeah, I would say it's at least close. It's at
just-
least extremely close to the point to where you could maybe argue either one.
But my point, I don't think history has
Yeah.
an effect of Kyle Snyder's decisions to go
Yeah.
a different
No,
place.
I agree with that, obviously, but what I'm saying is I don't like how a lot of people are like, oh, well, yeah, duh, Penn State, that's obviously where you need to be. And it's like, well, as far as winning world championships and world medals, like, yeah, they're doing all right, but Ohio RTC is also doing just as well.
The other
like,
thing
that's my thing.
the other thing that I want to bring up is like, okay, so everyone's freaking out. Okay, he lost to Sajalayev in the finals, then he loses. Like everyone was not okay with Snyder losing in the semis versus who we got. Who's the guy that beat him in the semis?
Shemi? No.
No,
that's not a
Sharifov.
guy.
Sharifov.
From Azerbaijan. Guys, this guy is an absolute hammer. He's
Dude.
beaten Kale Sanderson. Like,
He's beaten.
oh, I'll go. I lost to Sharifov. I should never lose to Sharifov. Let me go train with Kale, who's also lost to Sharifov, and he'll help me beat him.
Not only is he beating Kale Sanderson, he's a 2 or 3 time world champ, Olympic champ. He's beaten. He beat Jake Herbert multiple times back in the day.
His hit list of guys is like.
Insane. He's beaten multiple world champs.
He's an incredible wrestler. Now, Sajalayev kind of controlled him.
But if you do,
that's
but if you do
Sajalayev.
look at that from Kyle Snyder's point of view, it's like, yeah, but I was world champ. I was just always the world champ.
Yeah,
until
but that guy
yeah,
wasn't in
the
your weight
last
class.
2 years.
But that's the point is that
Yeah.
if you're focused on improvement and getting better, and you've been in a place where you've done that, right? I mean, you came in as a freshman, you were a phenom, you're a blue chip wrestler, right? I get that, but you got better. You didn't win it at your freshman year, NCAA's. You win the world championships.
Hey.
And all of a sudden you see this progress and you see him get better, and then all of a sudden it's like, I need to go somewhere else now.
Jaden Cox is 0-2 against Sharifov.
Yeah, Jaden
I
Cox,
believe.
same thing. Yep.
It's
Exactly.
like Jaden. If Sharifov stayed down a weight class, Jaden Cox might not be a world champion.
So
right now.
anyway, I'm sure our listeners might have a little bit of a different viewpoint from Keenan and I on this Kyle Snyder move. It will be very interesting to see what happens. Best of luck to Kyle Snyder. I can't say that I'm not rooting for Jaden Cox now because I definitely am, and that's because a little bit of my bias.
Is
little.
is that confirmed? He's going.
Little
It's
bit
not.
of feeling.
It's not confirmed.
It's not
That's
confirmed.
just
He has
my
not
speculation.
decided. Apparently, Kevin Jackson was talking last week and saying something along the lines of like, yeah, Jaden still has not made his decision as to what weight class he wants to wrestle for the Olympics, but I think we need to make that soon or
I
something.
think David
J-
Taylor's
should
just
happen soon.
praying
Yeah.
Well,
that.
I mean, you would hope that logically anybody in either of those two weights would prefer for Jaden to go the opposite weight.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, I'm sure that
Jiden. but
they
keep
those
going.
Jiden.
Jiden.
Those guys, hey, let's be honest. Those guys are this is a little bit of a rabbit trail here that has always annoyed me is when people are like, "Oh my gosh, like this guy is super scared of this guy." It's like, hey, at the highest levels of wrestling, when you're talking about guys who have been world medalists and world champions or even NCAA champions, like, yeah, people are realists and they know, like, oh, would I prefer to not have this guy in my weight? Yeah, I would prefer that. But I'm not. But nobody's scared of anybody at that level. They're not scared to wrestle somebody. It's like, I'll wrestle him. I'll either beat him or I won't. And I think I can beat him. But, like, I'm not scared of him. Like,
I guess I don't know what you mean by that though. I mean,
people are like,
I think David Taylor's praying right now that Jaden Cox doesn't come down to his weight class because he knows his chances of being an Olympic.
But are you
champion
trying
are
to
much
say?
better.
But are you? Well, yeah, logically he knows that. But are you trying to tell me that David Taylor doesn't think that he can beat Jaden Cox? Because I guarantee he thinks he can beat him.
No, but that doesn't mean that you're not scared of something. You're still scared of the fact that he's going to come down and take your Olympic spot. There's
When
going to be
I
fear
hear
and doubt.
somebody say that somebody's scared of somebody, what that means to me is they think, "Oh, I have no chance of beating this guy," and so I'm scared of him.
I'm scared of a tax audit.
Well,
That's something that's
I
actually
hope the
scares
IRS
me.
isn't listening to this.
They are.
Oh, they're listening, bro.
Do you have an Alexa? Echo?
No, but they're listening to that.
It could be.
All right. Well, so
I use that as a transition to the next topic.
transition.
We don't have a
to-
lot of time.
Nice transition.
Well, we got to keep going here, but this is actually on topic. Kyle Snyder leaves to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, and a few weeks later, Kirk Liet, who was the #1 recruit in the country, decides to enter the transfer portal. So he will no longer be wrestling with Ohio State. So again, that idea of Kyle Snyder leaving is obviously going to hurt Ohio State, and more than just him leaving. He's going to bring recruits with him, and so that's a lot of speculation is Kirk Flitt will probably be at Penn State, but we don't know that for sure. But he's definitely leaving, and I would assume that Snyder's absence is definitely a huge part of him leaving. So that's big news right now in Ohio State is two top athletes are leaving your program, and so kind of a tough
Yeah.
couple weeks for
A lot of
Ohio
people are
State.
saying Oklahoma State because he was looking pretty strongly at Okie State before he committed to Ohio State. Apparently.
Yeah,
Well, he
so
did
I mean,
commit.
Or
to
he
Okie
committed
State.
to Okie State.
he's
yeah.
actually a guy
He also
that
committed to Minnesota.
he committed to Minnesota, decommitted, committed to Oklahoma State, decommitted, committed to Ohio State,
Signed.
went to Ohio State, and now
He's
putting in the
leaving.
transfer portal. So definitely that's one of the things that I think Division I wrestling would be very difficult because with these blue chip recruits comes a lot of, I don't know what the right word is, but like being used to be the guy and having everybody serve you.
Yep.
And when that all of a sudden doesn't happen, it throws your world off a little bit. I don't know Kirk Vliet at all. I've never met the guy, but I just assume with his track record of committing and decommitting and committing and decommitting and now transferring is that he has a hard time fitting in.
Yep.
And it'd be difficult as a program, looking for the best wrestlers, but also having to, figure out who's going to fit in with your program and who's not. So it's going to take a special place for this guy to be able to fit in, and I think he's a phenomenal wrestler. So once he gets on the mat, he's going to win matches for you. But it's just a matter of keeping that commitment level, and we all know that. College wrestling and Division I wrestling, you've got to be insanely committed, and you've got to be able to devote, a lot of yourself and to your teammates and things like that. So that'll be interesting to see which program he ends up in and how his career
I do think
unfolds.
this is going to be the new wave of college athletics. So, as if you've paid attention to anything lately, the new NCAA has ruled on you can now make money off your image and likeness, which you could never do before. So, and the transfer portal thing is now a thing as well. They kind of came very close to the same times where you're going to start seeing a lot more of this. It's a change, and it's hard. Like everyone who's gone through all this and just the old school mentality of stick it out. You gotta wait for your turn or whatever it is. Just work harder and that's not that's gone to the wayside, but that it's just changed. I could go off on a tangent in football sense because a lot of I follow that and I see that, but now they're going to start making money off themselves. So that's going to throw in a whole nother thing. Who can make you the most money? What boosters can bring in the most money for you? Because now you can make it off your likeness. Like, hey, I'll throw a camp for you and I'll give you $20,000.
Yeah.
And that's your likeness. It's going to have your poster and everything, but it's I can guarantee you 3 camps at $20,000 each. You're going to make $60,000 as a college athlete.
I think it'll happen. I think that's
it will.
happen.
It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
And that's what's happening. And so I think we just need to, and maybe it's people just get used to it. This is the new wave of college athletics. It's going to be, what can you do for me? Not what can I do for and maybe it's not good, but it's the way it's going. And it's human nature. It's going to be really interesting, and I think that's what everyone's having problems with, these changes and all these transfers going everywhere, and it's get used to it because that's not going anywhere. You just got to change your program or your mentality towards it because that's the way it's going to be. And I do think you're going to see a trickle-down effect of – I do think the likeness thing is going to actually benefit some smaller programs in the sense that it's hey, you're not going to start at Penn State for a while. I can guarantee you in, I don't know, let's use Campbell or let's use Indiana or something where it's I can get you this, and this much money from these Indiana kids doing these camps, and you're going to see kids transfer, and you're going to see kids moving where the money is and situations like that. Sorry, my voice is messed up. I have a nasty cough. I have to blow my nose again.
Little
which
head
is why I
cold.
left. Yeah.
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, Drew. I think that's, what we're seeing right now is at Penn State, everybody's choosing to go there because they want to, be the Bo Nickel, but what we're seeing is that all these guys are 2-3 deep in the lineup where they could be the number one guy making, $20,000 for a camp is not out of the question. And for these athletes, people are going to be willing to pay that within their, the state of their program. And that is a really good point that Drew made. I think I hadn't really thought about that. I put this to our ideas of things to talk about list. NCAA image and likeness rule, and we can get a little bit more deeper.
I think that's
into
a whole
it maybe
podcast in general.
in a few episodes, yeah, for sure. So, so that's Ohio State. Let's continue there. Welcome college wrestling. we're back in the grind. November started, and we have got some results. I'm gonna stick with Ohio State because we've been talking with them.
Yep.
And I think they were really the big talk this weekend. Yesterday was the Michigan State Open. Sammy Sasso, their 49-pounder,
Oh my
techs his
gosh.
way through. Techs or pins his way through. I think he had 3 pins and
Dude.
2 techs.
And through a tough bracket.
Yeah.
It was no joke of a bracket either.
So this guy's the real deal. It was funny. Christian Piles was tweeting out Hodge Trophy. Look out. He's definitely a guy that is dynamic.
Oh my goodness.
Puts up big time points. He loves wrestling. I know he works his tail off. Super pumped to see how his season unfolds. Keenan and I will actually be watching him wrestle in about a week. We're going to go up to Ohio State, check out the Cavelli Center,
It's going to be a blast.
and watch Ohio State versus Stanford. So
Yep.
that's going to be pretty cool.
Dude,
Then the other
that's funny. Just a real quick comment on that. It's like if you had to choose between Kirkfleet transferring out and Sasso transferring out, right now you want to keep Sasso.
yeah.
That dude is. Kirkfleet could maybe never win an NCAA title.
Well, the heavyweight is so stacked.
That's what
with
I'm saying.
Gable
I mean,
Stevenson and-
Kassar, Stevenson, and then obviously Stevenson's a year older, but you might have 3 years behind Stevenson. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So, he's an incredible blue chip guy that I'm gonna be looking
After
forward
this
to seeing.
weekend, I'm picking Sasso to win it.
Do it.
49.
Hey,
Just
go
did
Sasso.
it. It's done.
Pletcher, would you pick him to win it?
Dude, I am actually.
Dude, Pletcher looked freaking phenomenal. Beat number 1 Demas from Oklahoma. It was an overtime match. Probably the most entertaining match that I watched, that I've ever watched without a takedown.
Oh
So
my
there's
gosh.
a sequence where Pletcher gets Demas up on his shoulders, like reshot, double leg, lifts him up. He drives him down to the ground. Demas rolls out of it, kind of like Nolf roll almost. He lets him go, gets back to his legs again, lifts him up again, and he does the same thing, and they go out of bounds.
Insanity.
So no takedown, back and forth battle. Demas is looking for his duck unders and body locks and things like that. Pletcher's just low to the ground, tough to score on, and he ends up getting it done in overtime. Demas could not ride Pletcher. Pletcher got out right away, and then Pletcher was able to lift and return him 3 or 4 times and ride out the 30 seconds. So-
Fletcher's a heck of a rider.
yeah,
Insanely good at keeping people down.
tough when he wants to. So that's pretty cool. Also, Drew said that he watched some wrestling on national
Yeah,
television.
so I was about to turn on football this morning, and then I was scrolling through my YouTube TV, and I saw like CBS Sports has just said, was it called Battle on the Midway, which was Wisconsin, Navy, Army, and Fresno State, I
Yep,
believe.
yep.
And yeah, it was on CBS Sports, so that was like that was sick. I always watch college football on that channel, so I was like, this is legit. I had no idea that was gonna happen. I thought that was probably something that was on one of the either track or on Flow or whatever it was, but nope, straight up on CBS Sports. So wrestling's getting out there, getting some viewership, and it was a pretty cool broadcast. I don't know if you got to watch it, but or see the pictures, but they did like Night Duel out on one of the carriers, and they had all the lights, and it was kind of like a Beat the Streets vibe. It was really sick. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, having wrestling on CBS Sports, college wrestling, that's a big step.
That's a big deal.
That's pretty sick.
I think Wisconsin beat Army by 1. That was like the really shocking news from that event was that
Crazy.
Army was in that because Wisconsin I think
Army's
is
pretty good.
Wisconsin's
Wisconsin's
I mean, think about it. What did Army
fifth,
qualify
fourth.
last year? Like 6 guys, 7 guys? They qualified for the
Yeah,
tournament?
they're
Dude,
a
they've
good
got
program.
a
It's a
sneaky
program on the
good
come up.
team. Yeah,
Uh,
that's crazy. Seth Gross, I mean, good, looked tough, but didn't
no.
pin. So that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, that was the match that I turned it
He
on.
did
to.
have he had him on his back at the
I
end.
mean, that
but-
was the match that was on when I watched it. And maybe some
a little ring
maybe
rust. Little ring
yeah,
rust.
a little ring rust, a little mat rust.
It,
Get that out of there.
I feel like I'm surprised people. I listen to the FRL guys. They're like crazy high on Seth Gross. He's ranked number 1 for their
Pound
Hodge
pound.
for their Hodge Hodge rankings. I think he's insanely good, but I don't know if it's me. I'm probably not putting him over a couple of the other guys that I just don't
Like
see.
who?
I don't see anybody touching Zahid.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, who's gonna I could
But
see
most
Gross.
dominant,
I could
like
see
how-
Gross having some who was it in the NCAAs? Was it Tariq Wilson that Gross had a weirdly close match with him in the semis or whatever?
Yep.
And Tariq Wilson kept taking him down, and then
Yep.
Gross. I don't know. I think Gross is really really good, and obviously crazy dynamic on top. But I think
He's
guys
beatable.
I think guys are gonna game plan him big time, and I think Zahid, it doesn't matter how much you game plan him, he's just gonna pick you apart on your feet, and there's just nothing you're gonna be able to do about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just
I
me.
think Mark Hall is probably the only guy that can take him out, and he's only able to do it once.
Zahid.
So
Yep.
yeah, now they're in separate weights, and
Yep.
it'll be different. So, all right. Unfortunately, we have to recap the World Championships. We got about 10 minutes left of this podcast. Let's go
bad. That
through
was
it real
bad.
fast, and then we'll
That was
talk
bad.
about our predictions.
There we go.
All right. Just tell you what, my heart was. I spoke with the heart.
You
gotta
did. You went
sometimes
with the.
be-
You
You
bet
never
with
do
your heart.
that. Which
Never
is
do.
hey,
That's why you can't take this guy to Vegas.
you can't
Don't
take
take
him
him
to
to
Vegas.
Vegas.
That's why That's
He
why.
bets with his heart.
I do. I bet with my heart. All right.
Mhm.
Real quick recap. 57 kilos. Our United States representative, Dayton Fix, wins his first match, loses to Takahashi of Japan,
Former
former
world
world
champ.
champion. Very, very good opponent. He looked good, but just didn't quite get it done. 4-2. Takahashi fails to make the semifinals and therefore ends Dayton Fix's day. So, no medal at 57 kilos. 61 kilos, we have Tyler Graff. If you remember, it was a very weak weight class. There wasn't a lot of people that were medalists, and so anyway, Tyler Graff had a fairly decent day. He ended up winning his first two matches, lost to a Georgian, came back, won a match in the repechage. How do you say that?
Repechage.
Repechage, and then he lost for third, so he ended up getting fifth. He lost to India, 11-4 for the bronze. So no medal at 61 kilos.
Let's just go through the medals.
65 kilos.
I'm getting lost on what you're saying, by the way.
Zane Rutherford, no medal, lost his first match, 70 kilos. James Green won one, then lost one. 74 kilos, Jordan Burroughs picked up a bronze after losing to Sidikoff. 79 kilos, Kyle Dake won a world championships. 86 kilo, we had Pat Downey. He is homeless now. He lost to Germany.
Do you think he's like a kind of cardboard box kind of guy, or like
I heard
he's
he's
going to the, or is
I-
he going to the actual shelter?
I heard he's living in a basement, so that to me is not.
That's not homeless.
As evidenced
That's-
by us
yeah,
right
as
now.
doesn't right now.
Drew's
I
homeless.
don't feel homeless right now.
I don't feel homeless.
No.
feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, so I don't like that. That's not legit homeless.
Yeah, he's got to legit go home. I'll go home. You know what, Pat?
What happened?
You know
Did
what,
he
Patty?
say
I will go homeless with you for 1 week, pending weather.
Did he say if I don't win worlds, I want to choose homelessness?
Hashtag
what?
world champ or homeless.
So that was his hashtag?
Yeah.
So what does that mean really? Cuz
yeah,
Well, apparently it means
does that mean
living in a
literally
basement.
if I don't win it I won't have enough money to afford rent, or does it mean I will choose that life?
I think it was just his way of trying to become a world champion.
I mean, it didn't work.
Yeah, no, it didn't work. Jaden Cox wins it, gold at 92 kilos, very dominating, 97 kilos. Kyle Snyder loses in the semis. We already talked about it. Ends up bronze, beating a very tough Georgian that has beaten him in the past 5-0. I think his development was pretty good in that match. And then 125 kilo, Nick Wisdowski loses his first match to a tough Iranian, and that guy fails to make the finals. So no medal there. I think it's safe to say it was a disappointing World Championships for Team USA.
we almost got fourth. We only beat Iran by a half point.
So we got fourth.
We were planning on.
Yep.
I mean, we thought we could maybe beat Russia,
Oh yeah.
or at least be really close. And Azerbaijan.
Yep. Well,
I mean,
and
Russia doubled.
Iran was
Russia doubled the U.S. points.
people were thinking that Iran wasn't going to finish inside the top 10 and stuff like that.
Interesting
So they
worlds.
Yeah. So anyway, our predictions. Do you
let's
want to
just-
go through
yeah,
predictions?
No, we can just mostly cut to the real.
All
the real
right.
reason we're talking
let's
about
cut
it.
to the chase.
You know
So-
what's great is when you're a part of a team sport.
Yep.
When you win,
Mhm.
there's people you can enjoy it with. In wrestling, it's one thing. You go and win. It's kind of, as much as, you have all these people who've molded you and got you to there, it's you standing at the top of the podium.
Mhm.
That feeling isn't the best. You know what is the best feeling? Having just one person lose. And that happened at this World Championships.
This
where
was literally an inverse Like
an inverse win.
championship.
Yeah,
It was an
championship.
inverse championship.
There's just one loser.
one loser. No winners, one loser.
Yeah,
I love it.
and I mean, Jeff, do you want to read the results or just
Well,
maybe put
all,
them in order?
all I
of
want to say.
just say who lost, I guess.
Okay, Keenan and Drew finished with 11 points. The way that we did this was if you predicted a did not place, you get 1 point. If you predicted a medal, you got 2 points. If you predicted the gold, you got 3 points. If Tyler Graff would have won his final match, I would have won this single-handedly, and Keenan and Drew both would have tied for last. However, Graff did not come through for me,
Nope.
and therefore Keenan and Drew won this competition with 11 points.
Yeah, we could do what ifs
and
all day,
Jeff
baby.
did 9 points.
You lost. You were the
I lost.
sole loser
Yeah, that
from
hurts.
this podcast.
I lost, and I apologize for
And you
losing.
the whole thing up, and I didn't even know about the 2-1 3
Well,
point
we talked
thing.
about it literally on the podcast, so
Well,
if you're
I
either
wasn't paying
sleeping
attention.
or I don't know.
But either way, it feels good to be a co-winner,
Feels good. Co-head winner.
co-head winner. Yep. And then we
Good
got
job,
one
winners.
loser. So that was good. We should probably there was a few more
Oh.
things we got to get on the docket, but we can save that for the next podcast. There's some topics that we could really dive into.
We got 4 minutes.
Okay, 4 minutes.
4 minutes
Wait.
to get into
No, wait,
Let me get you guys' thoughts
to get
on this.
into Olympic red
hold on,
shirts.
hold
Let me
on.
get-
Yeah. You
Go
guys
ahead.
gotta
4
read.
minutes?
You got to read them off. It's pretty easy, really.
This
Olympic
is an
red
intro
shirts.
into the next
Pretty-
podcast.
pretty- really.
Here's an intro to the next podcast where we're going to talk about Olympic red shirts and who we have. So I have a
No,
list
let's
of a few
finish
guys.
this up.
of
This
a
is the
few guys
international
who are-
wrestling. We're gonna be talking about college wrestling next week.
Yeah.
Oh, we can
Okay.
get-
The good
There's
stuff.
there's not time to talk about
Let's get some
international. This is college
philosophy
wrestling
going.
time.
This is college wrestling.
This
the
is our
Olympic
busy
red
time.
shirts. We got-
Okay, finish.
So there's
finish.
a big list of people you can look up on Flow that have the ability to get Olympic red shirts, but I've come up with a list of people who are actually confirmed taking red shirts.
Thank you.
125. Arujo?
Yep.
Veto.
Vito Arujau
Yeah.
from
I don't know how
Cornell.
to say it. Yeah, I know he's from Cornell.
Which
33.
makes me think, is Philip Mooney the guy at Cornell
He
at
very well could be.
125?
Very
cool.
well could be.
That'd be cool.
From Kearney, Nebraska.
I don't know.
Big
I don't-
fan of
yeah.
Philip Mooney.
Yeah, big,
gonna look on
big Moomy
I'm
guy.
gonna look on their
Big
roster
movie
right
guy.
now.
Okay, so 33. That's the biggest one. You got Dayton Fix, Soriano, Micic. Micic is already qualified for the Olympics, which is crazy.
Yep.
So those three are going to be out, which is probably your top three. So that
Helps Seth Gross out
helps
quite a
out
bit.
Seth Gross quite a bit. For 141, we got Yanni and Jaden Ironman.
Both guys have. This is a list of everyone that has
This is
declared.
who's declared they're going to Olympic
Okay,
red shirt.
nice.
157, we got Fine Silver and Kolodzik.
Okay.
165, Mecky Lewis.
Yep.
Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Mecky.
Yep.
174, Miles Amin.
Okay.
And 184, Max Dean. And then that's all I have on my little list.
Gotcha.
If there's more, write them down below, and if we've missed them. That are
Interesting.
confirmed. That those are kind of the bigger names, all returning All-American or all Americans.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's gonna really shake up. I think the just the way the NCAA's goes this year. It might be more interesting to see like who has maybe like a way better road to a national championship that probably would never have one. I mean, Seth Gross is like he's already won it. So, but if you take him out, like who? I mean, like it's really 33 is gonna be really interesting just because there's so many studs in that weight, and then so like a few of them are taking Olympic red shirts. So
Yeah. This is an exciting time of year right
Yeah.
now. And it's interesting how programs use that Olympic red shirts because there's definitely guys on that list that are like, okay, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
oh,
making
there's a
the
lot of
Olympics.
guys. Like I think Penn State could probably redshirt half their roster.
Yeah.
Just by looking at who qualifies. And yeah, and so they definitely use that as like should we punt this year or is this our year to make a run? Like I think you're going to see a lot of teams like University of Nebraska, I think, who could have a really successful year just based solely on the fact that so many other teams are taking Olympic red shirts.
Sure.
It's going to prop their guys up. And you're going to see that with a lot of other schools too. So
All right. I want this to be fast, guys.
Philip Mooney is listed at 141 on the Cornell roster.
Shut up. 141? No, he's not.
141.
That is definitely not the weight that he should be.
Maybe he's bulked up.
yeah.
He's short.
He could have bulked up.
I don't know. Man, 33.
Hey, either
Well,
way,
I
we're
think-
big
gonna have to
Moomy guy.
Put
I'm
in
a
a
big
text.
Moomy
Put a
guy.
text into his
Big
high
Moomy
school
fan.
coach.
Like
All
big-
right.
like
Real
Moomy.
quick, I want this to be snappy, guys.
Go ahead.
Okay.
2 early Olympic team predictions, okay? We're going to put a stamp on Olympic, talking about international, and then we're going to move on. I'm going to go first, okay? 57 kilos. I'm calling it. It is going to be
Just say
Spencer Lee.
Hmm.
65 kilograms. It is going to be Yanni Diakomahalis. 74 kilograms is going to be Jordan Burroughs. 84 kilograms is going to be David Taylor. 97 kilograms is going to be Mr. Jaden Cox.
Mm-hmm.
And 125 kilograms is going to be Gable Steveson.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
That's
Wow.
my list right there.
I'm
I
going
want
to
you
go.
say-
I'll go
what is it,
next.
November
Okay, so
Keenan can
3rd.
go last.
November 3rd.
I'm going to say the exact same thing outside of. I don't even know if I want to say this on the podcast. All right, I'm going to say Kyle Snyder, and then
Jaden Cox at 84.
I'm going to say Jaden Cox at 84.
Wow.
And then,
Think he's going to cut.
as much as I hope this is wrong, and I hope this is wrong, I'm going to take Kyle Dake over Burrows.
Yeah.
You would.
And I really hope that's wrong.
It very well.
That's
That's
very much a giant Burrows
to
fan.
me. I feel
really
like
want
that
him
is
to win.
the hardest one to predict. I feel like that's the hardest way to predict.
I hope I get.
Well, because it's two
Burrow-
world champions.
I hope
I
battling
really
out for
regret
a
saying
team.
that.
Well, you're gonna have another. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could make the argument that either you're gonna have two world champs going at it in another weight as well.
Yep.
But I feel I don't know why this is. I feel more confident that
Sorry,
David
sorry,
Taylor.
one more. My bad. Not. I'm going Dayton Fix, not Spencer Lee.
I
Another
feel
switch.
more confident that David Taylor is going to, and I don't know why this is, but I feel more confident that David Taylor would beat Jaden Cox than I do Dake beating Burrows or Burrows beating Dake. I don't know why that is, but I think that, dude, 2 hour weigh-in. Jaden Cox has never made 84 kilos with a 2 hour weigh-in. Well, he hasn't made 84 kilos in
2 years. He was sucked down. And remember, everybody was like, what? He's going 84 kilo?
2 hour weigh-in.
Or 86.
That's
Sorry,
the thing
86
the
kilos.
weight class is a little lower, right? Isn't it?
No, it's the same
The
weight.
same weight as
but,
what?
But it was night before weigh-ins, and he was
It was
sucked
night before
down.
weigh-ins. He was sucked down, dude. A 2 hour weigh-in. I don't know. I feel more confident David Taylor's gonna win that match than I do either Burrows beating Dake or Dake beating Burrows. I
Okay.
don't know.
All right, give
So
your
give us
pick.
your
Give us
predictions.
your
I'm
picks.
gonna go. I'm
57.
gonna go 57. I'm gonna go Dayton Fix.
My man.
65. I'm going Zane Rutherford. 74. I'm going Dake. 84. I'm going Taylor. 97. I'm going Cox. That's probably more hard overhead on that. And then heavyweight. I'm going Gable Steveson.
You think when you say heart over head, you want Jaden Cox to beat Kyle Snyder, or are you
yeah.
saying you think
I want Cox to beat Snyder. I really don't know who's gonna win that match.
I think it's a terrible style matchup for Kyle Snyder, and I thought that when he was training at Ohio Regional.
Well, they've wrestled before. And I think Cox has won at least before they got to college.
It's just like this. Kyle Snyder wins on strength, right? And grabbing you and pulling you and making you tired. Jaden Cox, sweaty, fast, can't grab him. Good
Can't
luck.
take him down.
Can't take him down. Good luck.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I don't know.
It's
I
gonna
don't
be interesting world or Olympic trials.
Yep.
But
All right.
all right, well,
Alrighty, well it's on the record now, boys.
yep. So season 2, Rick the Wrestling Dad signing out. We will see you